Hello, I am back again, and this time we're not going to be talking about Brazil. We're going to be talking about what made me leave to go to Brazil. In other words, what made me stop dating in the United States. If you've watched my TikToks or some of my YouTube videos, you can kind of get a perspective of how, but I'm going to break it down today. The number one thing, and we're going to say this is actually a bunch, and I'm bringing it down. The number one thing that stopped me from dating the United States was the texting games and the phone call games. The game. So we're not going to act brand new. We know this is a thing here. You have to have some sort of game, and people get game confused with charisma. Those aren't the same thing. Okay, charisma is the sweet talking and the emotional aspect of her getting to like you with your words, whoop to whoop. But when I say game, I'm talking about I get your phone number, now let me wait 2 or 3 days to call you back. Like if you know alpha male strategy, he says he waits 10 days to call a woman back. Why the fuck would I want to do that?
No, it's not that we don't have game. It's just we don't want to play games. Oh yes, we are definitely gonna do the Birdman AMS hand rub on this video today because, ladies and gentlemen, the brother Austin Holloman himself has said exactly what a lot of the passport brothers have been thinking for quite a long time as it comes to how they define game and confusing game for charisma, right? I'm one of the very few, probably in the minority, sometimes the majority, that have said that a lot of the game and technique that these dating coaches implement in the United States, most of that shit just doesn't work abroad. A. B, is highly unnecessary abroad. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I do believe that the majority of the disdain that these brothers have for guys who travel comes purely from the fact that we're taking money out of their pockets, right? When they realize that they're no longer needed, their techniques are no longer utilized, and you don't have to pay them to get the information that you need from them, we taking money out of their pockets. Passport brothers don't really need to have that abroad. But you definitely have to have charisma. And what my man Austin Holloman said was on fucking point. They confuse game with charisma. The ability to have personality, use your mouthpiece, sweet talk women, get them to fall in love with you via your words, right? But when you hear a lot of the dating coach tips and stuff, and I'm not saying it's all of them, but I do believe that there are quite a few that follow along the same rhetoric as it comes to how to play games with females in the United States. He mentions specifically waiting the 10 days before you text a female, or even waiting 2, 3, or 4 days to text a young lady after getting her number. I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I tried that in the Philippines, let's say, for example, I meet a girl, I get her number, and then I wait 3 or 4 days to text her. Guaranteed, when I text her, she's probably gonna ask, who is this, right? She's gonna be like, who the fuck is you? Number one. And number two, she's probably going to think, oh, he ain't text me. I guess he's not interested. And they will move on. Okay? Now, sometimes you may have women blowing up your phone if they got your number too. You may have that as a reaction. But most of the time, when it comes to dealing with foreigners, they may just come off and think of you as a chick's boy or a guy who gets a lot of females, so you're not worried about them. And trust me when I tell you, chances are they're probably not going to be too worried about you. Now, again, it does depend on the amount of time the interaction or the amount of time that was that lapsed during the interaction prior to you getting that girl's number or whatever it may be. You know, that does, definitely play a role in it. But for the majority of the time, if you wait long periods of time to try to talk to females to get their numbers, it's difficult. Right? It's almost impossible that a girl's going to think that she's going to be sitting around waiting for you for 3, 4, 10 days, just for you to text. And if she does, hey, good for you. But 99.9% of the time, that's the bullshit we do not have to deal with abroad, right? That's some Americanized shit. Let's keep it a buck, man. That's some stuff they do in the Western country. We don't have to do that. And then he was also talking about how you know, you wait all this period of time, you know, you do all of this, you got to play the game, you got to get inside her head, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's a method to the madness, there's a schedule, there's a routine you got to follow to keep this girl interested in you. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to do that shit abroad, man. It's a lot of work and it's a headache. And trust me, if you have personality, if you can talk to women, if you can have a great conversation with them, get them to smile, I promise you, you can forego all of that needing to wait for days and weeks at a time, texting and doing all this, that, and the other to build up to some shit. Because I promise you, abroad, I don't want to admit this. I do, but I don't, because it doesn't make me seem like a good guy in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not perfect. I am definitely a human being of sorts, and I'm willing to admit to not necessarily my shortcomings, but something that I don't want to brag about, but something that definitely has happened. And I know what you're going to say before I even say this. Oh, Doc, you must have been dealing with a professional. You must have been dealing with one of the ladies of the nights, the prosties, and all of that shit. No. All right, let me tell you a story. Okay. I once met a girl, and within less than a 24-hour period, you know what happened, okay? How did it happen? You met him, you got the number, you talk to him a little bit, you know, see if she wants to go out, see if she wants to do something, and then you kind of work it that way as well. If she wants to wait another day, that's cool, right? But for me, it just happened to be that, you know, met him, you know, linked up, had a conversation, made things happen. Things hit off, bam, it went down just like that. And a lot of people be like, Doc, you lying. No, I'm not, because there's a lot of guys that can attest to that happening to them as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with dealing with women who want money from you or anything like that. Let me rephrase. It doesn't have to deal with you having to pay for the interaction or anything like that. All right. So even Andrew Tate has said this before. I remember distinctly watching a video of sorts about this whole gameplay and shit like that. He don't really waste time either. But I remember distinctly his talking point was via Instagram, right? He was like, it's better to ask for a young lady's Instagram than to ask for a number because it comes off as aggressive or something, or a woman may not take kind to it if you're over there asking for the phone number as opposed to asking for her IG or her Instagram handle. Right? Because a girl's not going to decline you to follow her because, hell, she wants to get her follower numbers up. So she's probably going to give it to you. She's probably going to, you know, allow you to follow her or something like that. And if you talk or have that conversation with her in the moment and say, hey, you know, I'm going to hit you up later. I'm going to message you later on Instagram after I follow you, blah, blah, blah. She kind of feels the obligation to, you know, somewhat talk to you back. It depends on who you're talking to, of course. She feels the obligation to hit you back because she kind of committed herself to saying that she'll respond to your message if you hit her up or whatever. Again, that's not verbatim, but that's what he was talking about. But again, I'm talking about the acceleration of time, not necessarily wasting time, not necessarily going through the 2, 3, 4 day process of getting this woman interested in you, playing the pregame, doing all this fucking with her head shit and all of this extra shit. You know, it does become a mess. And when Austin Holloman said the gameplay is out of control in the United States, it is absolutely out of control. Let's say, for example, you do find a young lady in the United States that you do like, that you do want to have a conversation with. Oh, you got to fall in line with all the other motherfuckers who are trying to talk to her right now. All right? You got to fall in line, and you got to hope that she responds to your text messages or, you know, conversations with more than a hi, a hello, or one-word answers and shit like that. Right? But of course, if you listen to your dating coaches and you listen to these guys, oh, you want to know how to combat that or overcome that, man? Act like you have options. Act like you ain't worried about her. Don't talk to her at all. I kind of feel like that's a contradiction of sorts, because if I'm going to act like I have options, but I really want her, or that I'm really interested in her, I got to act like I don't have options, so I don't text her. And by me not texting her, I kind of feel like I'm doing her a favor because she's probably got 20 other motherfuckers that are already texting her. So you see where the confusion comes into a situation like this. Again, I'm only using this as an example. I'm not going to sit here. This is what I'm not doing. Let me make sure I say this verbatim because I want you to understand me when I say this. I'm not saying that some of the things that these guys say don't work. I'm not saying that some of their techniques can't be utilized in certain situations. What I am saying is that when we go abroad, when we deal with women abroad, we don't have to play these games. We don't need the headaches. We can actually genuinely talk to a girl the exact same day and we can be successful the exact same day. Or, you know, we can figure out what we're going to do in the next couple of days or so. The beautiful thing about being abroad is, yes, you do have a lot of fucking options. You really have a lot of options abroad. You don't have to play like you have options abroad, ladies and gentlemen. You do have these options abroad. And that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people don't want to look into that. A lot of people don't want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of people don't want to fuck with the passport bros, or people who have passports and travel abroad, or the no one over my passport. Shout out to the movement, the NOMP. I think that was coined by the brother Brazil Yesh. But, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want to give credit where credit is due because it's all about, oh, you ain't got game. No, it's not that we don't have game. It's just we don't want to play games. Big difference. It's not that we don't have game. It's just that we don't want to play games. Now, there are a lot of guys that are struggling out there. Okay? There's a handful of them in every bunch. Let's keep it a buck. Right? There's a handful in every bunch that are fucking up. Like, old buddy who was talking to the dating coaches on they show and shit, and he was talking about, I send my girl money every month or some shit to keep her maintained or some shit. I don't remember the story verbatim, but you have a couple in every bunch that'll fucking ruin it for the whole entire bunch. All I'm saying is, we don't have to play these games abroad. We genuinely do not. All right? I appreciate y'all locking in, man. It's been a good doc, man. Y'all already know what to do. If you want to support the channel in any capacity, you already know what to do. Cash App, PayPal, bro. There's a thank you button at the bottom if you really do appreciate the content. Doc would highly appreciate that. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's get this movement out here. Let's make sure that we show everybody what really goes on with the brothers who choose to utilize that passport. Y'all know what time it is, man. Time for to get out to go and get to getting. Y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc is out. Peace.